Walking out of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I remember being supremely disappointed. And it wasn't just the laughable CG characters and sets, it was the dull, nothing story that didn't go anywhere. With a lot of superhero movies, and most movies in general, I like to think positively about the final product that I got, but when they're objectively not great, I can't help but think about alternate versions that could have happened. Because sometimes a movie is so incredibly close to being something, and somewhere along it just trips and falls. So with Quantumania, I want to do just that. I want to look at what went wrong and the one thing that might have fixed it, making it a film that I personally think could have been incredible. Welcome to Sandwich Reviews. I'm the Talking Sentient Sandwich, and I so very much wanted to like this movie. But before I get any further, I should bring up the elephant in the room. I've already talked about this on the channel, but you can't really discuss this movie or Kang without running into it. Jonathan Majors sucks, and I'm glad his Kang is gone, though I can't deny the presence this character has. Aside from the very end, which, don't worry, I will talk about, I don't have much to say about Kang himself. Even back when the movie first came out, it was pretty easy to identify that he was the biggest redeeming factor of the whole film. He wasn't perfect, but the gravitas that the character was given would have set him up really well for later reintroductions to him or other Kangs. We probably won't see this version of him again, which is fine, but it does make me sad to think that we'll never see Kang again at all. Check out my video about why Marvel should still make Kang Dynasty for my full thoughts on that. But this video is about the flaws in Quantumania. And while I did love seeing Kang on screen, there was one thing about him that really should have been explained, and that is his faceless stormtrooper army. Not only were they not threatening in any way, but they just didn't make any sense. What are they? People? Robots? I genuinely don't know, and it's never explained. It wouldn't have taken long to have Kang show off his skills to someone else and exposit that they're all test tube babies or something that he created for a military, but it seemed like the filmmakers were entirely unconcerned with developing the quantum realm into an actual lived-in setting. And that doesn't just come down to the villains. That whole lack of effort, or more accurately lack of planning and foresight, can really be felt in the setting as a whole. We start off seeing a cool forest, but nothing else is that visually interesting. Green screen and volume shots are abound, and both of those types of shots absolutely can work under the right elements. But clearly, none of that was taken into account when filming this. Whenever I look at the terrible, barren, empty, and uninteresting landscapes, it just made me think, what do these people eat? The people in the quantum realm are nobody. I mean, who are they? What are their daily lives like? Again, what do they eat? I mean, they live in living houses, so I guess that's cool, but can we go inside one? No? There's no time? Okay. They introduce plenty of cool and somewhat intriguing looking characters, but most are cliched or second rate, including wasting William Jackson Harper on a nothing role, because no one, including the large roster of main characters in this movie, gets to stand out. And that is yet another flaw with this film. While they dropped Paul Rudd's heist crew, which was probably a good idea, though I did miss Louise, there are way too many characters to involve in the story. Because the writers were forced to give everyone something to do, the narrative is stretched thin between all of them, not allowing any of them to shine. And it wasn't just the main characters that needed a couple more passes over with this script. It was everyone on screen. Of course, that also extends to the one character I know for a fact I'm going to put in the thumbnail. However, despite a lot of hate for him, I did enjoy MODOK. I know I mentioned bad CG characters before, but for me, he's not on that list. I understand the stretched square face that they used looked objectively bad, but it's a giant floating head. It was never going to look good. If anything, more Uncanny Valley-esque looking freaks should have been included. Make the aesthetic of the quantum realm the Uncanny Valley. It wouldn't look good per se, but at least the whole film would have the same visual language. I mean, MODOK could have been more threatening as well, and he could have been played less for laughs towards the end especially, but most of the time those jokes did work for me, though I definitely think he could have been played for laughs and been more threatening at the same time. Just lean into the horrific weirdness a little more. I appreciate his immediate ruthlessness, but that quickly dropped off. I also would like to see him again leading AIM and not being a henchman, because there's no way he's actually dead. It'll probably be a decade or more, similar to Tim Blake Nelson's The Leader, but I guarantee that wasn't the last we saw of MODOK. Nevertheless, if you haven't noticed, I have yet to even bring up the narrative, and flaws are plentiful when it comes to its plot. I won't bring up every little problem I have with the story, mainly because we'd be here all day, but also because I want to try to focus on one fix. Because if I'm honest, none of the flaws I've brought up so far matter to me. Because if they had done this one not so simple thing, then the whole movie would have at least built up to something. And that one fix is killing off Paul Rudd. Just imagine how much narrative drama and foreshadowing could have been implemented if the writers had chosen to do that early on. Every interaction could have been more impactful, therefore adding more narrative weight to the whole thing, making it more captivating to watch. And this is even more of a drastic change, but if the filmmakers were going to do that, they could have gone one step further and made the whole movie center around the theme of a father's sacrifice. Make it mostly about Paul Rudd's sacrifice, covering the time that he lost with his daughter, but tie that in with all the other characters as well. There's a clear line that could be drawn with Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man, and all of his sacrifices could be linked with Scott's. And the same should have been done with Janet and Hope, with them being parents as well. Even Kang can add layers to this. Make the MacGuffin he's after a piece of technology he's so protective and possessive over, it seems like a child to him. And it's not that someone needs to die for a movie to have drama, but I doubt anything else could have raised the stakes in this nothing movie. At least with a main character's death, the story could have been about something. Though I should clarify some things, because it does feel sacrilegious to call for killing Ant-Man, specifically since Paul Rudd is one of America's sweetheart dads, behind Tom Hanks of course. But that should be the exact reason to kill his character off. Just talking about it reminds me of Yondu. I wish I could have seen his continued adventures, but that's the point. I would have loved to see Yondu there fighting Thanos, yet he went out the right way, increasing the drama and stakes in Guardians 2. It should suck to see a character I like die. So if the filmmakers were to kill off Paul Rudd's Ant-Man, I should be thinking about all the possible ways he could come back. I should be dissecting every decision made within the movie to find out who's thematically at fault and who would be grieving more in the next installment. Side note, of course Scott Lang would have the possibility of coming back because like every other comic book character, he's died and come back to life in the past. And it was Cassie bringing him back through time, which is a storyline they could have used in Secret Wars. But instead, we'll never see any of that. The movie ends on a happy note. He's not left in the quantum realm or killed. Scott Lang is just fine. And it wasn't like that alone was what left a sour taste in my mouth, but it didn't help its case when the whole film was forgettable and nothing. I guess if it was late in the process and the filmmakers couldn't implement all of those alterations, they could have kept the ending how it was with just one easily replaceable aspect, with the last shot of the movie being a slow pullout on Scott walking down the street happily, and it's slowly revealed that the entire thing is happening in a crystal ball in Kang's palm. I don't know. But all of that is just wild speculation, because there's no way of knowing if any of those versions could have worked. Even if people were calling for a rewritten cut of Quantumania, I wouldn't want to see that. There are an infinite number of other projects that are worth making before that. Still, what would you think about those changes to the third Ant-Man movie? Would it make it a better experience for you? Did you enjoy it as it was? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for weekly video essays and reviews, and enjoy a delicious sandwich.